You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
Always nice to continue our multi-year conversation, James and I. James!
Mon Dave, comment ça va?
Ça va bien, mon Jimmy? Ça va bien?
Ben, ça va pas en tout pour les libéraux, là.
No, breaking news. I'm very happy. Yeah. We actually have breaking news, you and I, to dissect. So tomorrow in the Journal de Montréal, there will be the latest Léger poll on how Quebec politics stand. This poll was concluded August 21st.
Yeah.
So this doesn't take into account this, yet again, horrible week that Bernard Drainville has had, but it does take into consideration Pierre Fitzgibbon's comments on cars, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And so here are the results. I'll let you comment them, but here it is. CAQ, unchanged at 37%. Parti Québécois, 22%, stabilizing in second place. Quebec Solidaire, losing a bit of ground. They're at 15%. The Liberals, James, 12%. And the Conservatives, always in fifth place, but at 11%. Your thoughts?
Well, there's one number in this poll. The highest number in this poll is 51%. And that is the number of respondents who identify as Liberal supporters who have no idea who would be the best leader for their party.
Wow.
Of all the bad news for the Liberals in this poll, and there's plenty to go around. I haven't seen a breakdown yet, although the overall report says their support among Francophone voters has dropped even further. This is, pollsters are calling it a wake-up call. I'm saying that's the red alert signal. And I know, Quebec Liberal Party, you have people with bigger brains than mine who are planning your strategy and who are saying, well, we have to have a leadership contest, but it's going to be, next October, or not this one, but next October, or down the road. Don't worry, folks. Governments, popularities of governments can fall. I'm telling you right now, and unlike your consultants, I'll tell you for free, you don't get off your butts between now and Christmas and start changing this narrative. It doesn't matter who you have as your leader by, next fall. You are going to be so off the radar. And let's face it, David, you're mentioning the problems of Pierre Fitzgibbon. That 37%, 37 to 40%, that the CAQ continues to enjoy. I think most of our listeners know this. That's within the range that, the 40 point whatever percent they got elected with. And guess what? That support is not in places where what Pierre Fitzgibbon or indeed the hapless Bernard Drainville say or do. It's CAQ land. It's the regions. So far, nothing devastatingly wrong has happened out there. Hence, their support is going to remain at that level. But when we look at the breakdown of support for the other four parties, and 22% for the PQ, I mean, my God, whenever this by-election is going to be called, they may actually see their caucus skyrocket to 4 members from 3. But all that said, you look at the division of political support in this province, the CAQ continues to run the table simply by a strategy of doing absolutely nothing at all that's going to offend their base. And that number that we're seeing in today's poll, 37%, is their base.
You're so right, because all these problems we always allude to, like, for example, education.
Yep.
Most of the missing teachers, education, and professionals, where are they missing? In Montreal.
Yep.
Not in the regions. And most of the CAQ support, not only is it in the regions, but it's the older Quebecers, the older Francophone Quebecers. It's 55 plus. So 55 plus doesn't really care about, they don't have kids in school.
That's right.
So it's very well targeted. But back to the Liberals. I mean, last week, wasn't covered because it's inside politics and very, very internal stuff within the Liberal Party. But a vice president of the executive of the party resigned.
Yeah.
Because there was no movement. And there seems to be this dwindling remaining crust of old Charest people that doesn't seem to want to modernize this party at all.
Well, I mean, they may want to stick to that, but we have seen, quite graphically that unless the Liberal Party changes, and when I say changes, I don't mean maintain the tradition of throwing its base under the bus, but if it finds a way to reestablish credibility with the people who have been voting for their party for generations, and can reestablish credibility in the regions. And let's be clear here. I know it seems like it's been forever, but there was a time prior to 2018, people in the regions voted Liberal. They voted Liberal a lot.
A lot.
So what happened? Well, some people say the Liberals basically took everything for granted. They became aloof. They lost touch with the ground troops, and now they're paying the price for it. All I'm saying is you had better not think that you have the luxury of time here. You had better not think that CAC base is suddenly going to turn around and go, oh, my goodness, look what the Liberals are doing. How could I have been so blind? That is not going to happen. The Liberals are virtually invisible on most political coverage. They are virtually off the radar when it comes to dealing with that coverage, dealing with those issues. They're either a day late and a dollar short when it comes to reacting. I get the impression, and I used this image a couple of weeks ago on the show, Davis, almost like the Quebec Liberal Party when it comes to dealing with holding this government to account. Even in the summertime, they send someone down to check the P.O. box and see if there's any interesting news in the letters, and maybe they'll react to that. You cannot do business this way. And indeed, by retaining such a narrow focus, look what's happening to Quebec Solidaire.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, they were supposed to be the new kids on the block. Yes. They were the ones to look out for. They are beginning to stagnate almost as badly as the Liberals. And honestly, it's going to be very, very difficult for this party to explain to Liberal supporters, longtime Liberal supporters or potential Liberal supporters, why anyone should waste a second of their time examining what they have to say when they themselves don't seem that interested in saying it.
Well, Nadeau Dubois for Quebec Solidaire, let's just say this. He's not able to gain any type of traction or credibility with the middle class.
No.
Yeah, the numbers in the Léger tomorrow will show that Quebec Solidaire is pigeonholed within the youth vote, and they can't break out of that, and they're just scaring the middle class and older voters with their taxing policies.
Well, they're taxing. Listen, they didn't even know. Like, remember the $1 million,
right.
The $1 million plus a tax surcharge, and it never occurred to them that $1 million, I hate to say it, in this day and age,
it's not what it used to be.
Person, if you're a farmer,
$1 million
ain't that much.
It's your pension fund.
Now,
your farm is your pension.
So, but this is it, and once again, that's what happens when I won't say QS is completely out of touch, but when you're out of touch with a large part of this province, that's a problem. But you know what? They're relatively, they're the new kids on the block, or the semi-new kids on the block. The Liberals have been around since 1867. Okay? They should know this stuff. All right? And honestly, I would urge anybody who's in a position of power, and you're telling me this is inside baseball, this is inside politics, a vice president leaves. If you don't want to do this job, leave. Okay? Open it up for someone. Be honest with the people of Quebec and say, our heart's not in it.
I don't think they want to leave. I think, I got to say, I'm sorry, but the way things are going with the Liberals, I'm going to be very harsh here, but I think some of these guys just are there for the jobs.
Yeah, well.
And the hike in salary and having a taxpayer car. I mean, I don't see any other reason, because they are nowhere. Have you heard any Liberals come out on this whole Drainville fiasco this week?
No.
I haven't heard a thing.
No.
So,
and the thing, but this is what I mean. I mean, you come from,
the old school.
But honestly, David, I have spent my life watching how information goes from the source to the public and the fallout therein.
Yeah.
And, ever since, and it's funny because I was talking to one of my bosses last month, and now in the days of the internet, when it comes to filing news, The expression is better never than late, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're better off shutting up and breaking a news story on your own as opposed to coming in late. You come in late, okay, you're too late. Nobody knows, nobody cares. So unless the Liberals want to stay 1 second behind or ideally 5 seconds ahead of the CAC, they're wasting everybody's time.
James, always a great pleasure. Have a great weekend, my friend.
You too, buddy. Until the next time.